1, 2, 3. Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Harold and Brad, Windy City filmmakers. Harold and Brad. All right, so what's up? This is Harold and Brad, the first episode of Windy City filmmakers in the house. So just a little backstory about the both of us. I'll just kind of recap a little bit about me. I'm also from Chicago.
Yeah, how did you get started?
Well, you know what? I started taking back in the day tap classes at Mayfair Academy. You took some classes at Mayfair too?
Piano classes at Mayfair,
Right.
yeah.
Mayfair Academy.
Turns out me and Brad's got history. You know, we were like connected.
I know, right?
All the way.
Mayfair Academy. I was taking tap, and I can't lie, as a kid, I hated it. I hated taking tap, but as an adult, I have an appreciation. So then it's kind of like off and on doing stuff. Ran track in high school, kind of left the whole acting thing behind, and really got back in touch with it, fell back in love with it really in college, down at Florida A&M University in Tallahassee, FAMU. Started off doing like a lot of work behind the scenes, doing sound and different things behind the scenes. And while I was down there, Florida State, which is across the street from FAMU, this was like in the early 90s, their film school was just starting up. And so I started doing some volunteer work with their film school. It was tripped out, man, because like when I moved off campus, one of my apartments I was in was like right next down the street from Florida State. And I would like go over to the film class and sit out in the hallway like a nerd and try to get some information and shit. And I never forgot, I was just listening by the door and they would talk about film, and the dude closed the door. I don't think he closed the door because of me. He just closed the door to close the door, right? So I knew that definitely I was kind of interested in film, right? So I graduated from FAMU. I applied to film school. And at that point in time, I didn't have really any experience doing film, any experience acting. And I applied to everybody and their mama, man, all the big boys, all the big people, so to speak. NYU, UCLA, Florida State, Columbia College here in Chicago. And I never will forget, man, the rejection letters came in on the same day. Wow. Like 4 or 5 rejection letters came in on the same day. And it was oddly enough, the same day as the Oscars, right? And I just started crying. I was crying like a motherfucker. Oh, what am I going to do? I was just straight tripping. So I stayed down at FAMU for like an extra year, just working with the theater department. And then I came back to Chicago. And then one of the first acting classes I took, I think the first acting class I ever took was with ETA, Ebony Talent Agency that Harold was talking about. And I really fell in love with acting, you know, doing stuff on stage instead of just behind the scenes. And I will say this, that it was a great experience working behind the scenes, you know, because you have a great experience of the totality of what makes theater, makes film. And so then I took one of my first acting classes at ETA. And then shortly after that, like Harold said, we started the Acting Up Theater troupe. And then halfway through that, I left the troupe as well. And just on a humbug, I auditioned for the DePaul Theater School here in Chicago. And I got in. And I think as far as my career, in terms of knowing what I want to do, in terms of really clarifying being an actor who writes and directs, that was like the best decision I made, you know, going through the DePaul Theater School, a really rigorous program. So it was a great experience. And then after I graduated from DePaul, let me backtrack as well. But, you know, when I first got back from Florida A&M, I took some classes at Chicago filmmakers and community filmmakers, and then got involved with Acting Up, like I said. So then after I graduated from the DePaul Theater School with my MFA in acting, I always say because I wanted to make a lot of money and I wanted job security, so I became an actor. Right. So, and then I auditioned for the conservatory at Second City. And it kind of had it set up that if you had like an MFA program, if you had an MFA or BFA, you could just audition right off the bat for the conservatory. So I auditioned for the conservatory, and it was like I think a year program. Yeah, a year program. So I went through the conservatory, then I went through the musical improv conservatory, then I started doing some acting in different places. I joined another theater troupe, formerly known as Sparrow Monkeys. Right. Did a lot of work with them. And then from there, man, just started doing different stuff, you know, auditioning, working on things, and then really shooting my own stuff. And like I said, Harold and I have shot a lot of stuff just on our own. And that's one thing I always say, that is so important from my viewpoint, to shoot your own stuff, because you have more control over your destiny and things just changed up. I remember one of the first things I shot was a film called Walt, Brother Walt. And it was about this, my bike, the special relationship a dude has with this bike. And we're so tripped out. You mentioned Early Edition, right? Earlier. Mm-hmm. We shot that film based on a film left over from the series. I think the series got canceled at that point in time. And so the DP, I forgot his name, had just graduated from Columbia College. And he was like, you know what? Based on the money you had, because I had some money left over from a refund check from DePaul, right? Like $8,000, man, like a hell of a lot of money. I was like, you know what? Let's shoot something. And so he was like, cool, let's shoot on 35 millimeter. And then he was like, you know what? Based on the money, we can get like a jib arm. We got like a jib arm for like a flying effect to make it look like the bike takes off in the air. And so put some money into it. It's like, it was a really, really fun experience. But the point I'm making is that now with the advent of technology, you can, like, there's no excuse not to be doing your own shit. I mean, you could shoot some quality stuff on a cell phone. We're in my apartment right now, me and HD, aka Studio B. We just shot some stuff for a web series we're working on called Dazzling Cool Cat Jones. My film company, Land of Misery Films, and your film company,
99 Films.
99 Films on the Wall. So we just been shooting stuff. And I would say I love working with you, brother.
Same here.
Because you're a good person to work with, and I see why people work with the same people on a regular basis, time and time again. You know, have a special relationship and cool working with each other. And so that's pretty much it, man. Been shooting stuff, doing stuff, and looking to take things to the next level, and always staying busy.
So how was the experience at DePaul Film School? You did plays, studied, and you've met with other actors. How did that go?
DePaul Theater School. So I got my MFA in acting. So it was a 3-year program. So like a rigorous program. You had class every day. Every day, yeah. So it's like the first year is kind of like as an MFA, you were like on quote unquote probation, right? So you had your first show at the end in the spring of the first year. And then you had 3 shows a year for the next 2 years. And you had classes like movement. You had classes like voice and speech. You had classes that broke down the history of theater, Shakespeare classes. So it was a really intense program. And I loved it. I loved the idea of being submerged in the craft of acting, right? And it was kind of set up the way it was set up was that they have so many people in the program, so everybody does a show. So it's based on the idea of learning from doing, right? Everybody does a show once you go into the casting pool, so to speak, but you still audition. So you still audition for the rounds of shows, so people get used to auditioning on a regular basis and doing different things for auditioning. So it was a great experience. Right now, they just moved into a new building, because when I was there, I graduated back in 2002. I was like in an old building. They called it like the lunch bucket when I was there. But now they have a new building. We were in last week that we shot an episode of Dazzling in, like high tech, just really amazing looking spot.
Yes.
But I would say without question, it was definitely, like I said, one of the best experiences in terms of really clarifying what I wanted to do as an actor who writes and directs, and then really have like a skill set. And a skill set, I believe that you never stop learning. Like you're always developing and are banging on the craft as an actor, writer, director. So yeah, it really helped out tremendously.
And so I think about Second City. You talked about you went through the conservatory for improv, and you had to audition for level 3, and then you did level 3, 4, and 5. Was there a 6th level?
I'm trying to. Yeah, I think so. I think the 6th level was because it's been a minute. I think the 6th level was we did a show.
Yeah,
we did a show, and it's kind of similar. You wrote your own material, which was cool. And I think that in the final show, I had like 2 things in the show that I had written, like a James Brown piece about a breakup, and then a song about segregation, a song about segregation taking place in Chicago, and how it reflects just being on the red line here in Chicago, how you go from the north side to the south side, and it gets more and more, you see more and more less white people on the train the further south you go, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So, yeah.
Or the Greenland. And then after that, you did a whole year's program of musical improv. That must have been a trip.
Yeah, I think it was a year program too. It was good. It was a good experience, you know. And what I love about it, this is a side note, like I'm co-directing a version of The Lion King at a grammar school, elementary school here in Chicago, working with amazing 4th to 8th graders, right? Mm-hmm. So they're doing some singing, right? And so I always say that I can't sing at all. I can't sing.
But that's what I'm saying. And you went through the whole year program.
Right.
Because I can't sing at all. I can hold a note.
And the thing about it is that, at least with musical improv, and the same thing like we're trying to tell the kids, the students, that you don't always have to have like a great voice, depending on what you're doing. But if you believe it, if you can sell that shit, that's what fucking counts. Yeah. That's what fucking counts. Because I can't sing, but I will fucking sell the fuck out that shit. And so that's what we're trying to convince the kiddos, because some of them kind of gun shy to sing, so on and so forth. And it's about the idea, you know what? You don't have to sound like Beyonce. You don't have to sound like Luther. If you do, some of them have great voices, but you have to believe, no matter how your voice sounds, that you are Luther, that you are Beyonce. And if you believe that shit, the audience will be with you.
That's a lesson for me.
No doubt. No doubt.
I forgot. I'm taking classes over there now, too. You know, being able to work at Second City. Let me tell you this quick story. I was on set of this film, and this guy about 4 years ago was teaching in Second City for years and years, and he's retiring, and him and his wife moved to Canada. And so when he said that he worked on Second City, I was like, it'd be nice to take classes over there for free.
Right.
And so I ended up getting hired, and I get to take a class a term over there. So over the years, I've taken the Improv for Actors 1, the Improv for Actors 2, Stand-Up 1, Stand-Up 2, which I have a funny stand-up routine, Harold Dennis Comedy on YouTube. Harold Dennis Comedy. Check it out.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah, it was at the level 2.
Right.
And that laugh track in the background is my brother holding the camera because he had never seen me that funny.
Yeah.
So, and I've taken the intro to screenwriting, storytelling. I wanted to take the storytelling too, but it didn't happen. So right now I'm about to take screenwriting 1, and it's meeting Tuesday nights and Thursday nights. That's like 3 hours a night for 8 weeks. That's a lot of hours. And with everything that I'm doing, taking these classes and teaching and acting and blah, blah, I'm going to sit up and take 2 nights of screenwriting and have to write outside of class. But that's
what's up, man. Yeah.
22 years ago, I was on this. 22 years later, today, I'm still on it.
Yeah, baby.
I'm still on it. And that's where we're at, on it.
And this is the thing, man. I think somebody forgot. I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago. But it's true, man. Like, still on the grind, banging on the craft. And I think one thing that's really important, the idea that sometimes people see some people explode out of nowhere. And more times than not, they ain't came out of nowhere. That more times than not, the overnight sensation has been years and they're banging on their shit, banging on their craft, and then things break out. And it may seem as if it was an overnight success, but they didn't fall off the back of the truck yesterday.
They're in the right place at the right time, meet the right person at a certain time, or however you want to say it. And you have to believe. Obviously.
Oh, no doubt.
Confidence is key. Yeah.
So having said that, what are some of the what's the indie feel like here in Chicago? We're talking about Chicago, but it can be anywhere. What's the indie feel in terms of filmmaking here, vibe you get here in the Windy City?
Well, for years I've been saying that here in Chicago you have all of these film schools. They shoot like 20 films a semester. That's like 100 films a year. How many of those can you be in?
Right.
You know? And then you have those film students who graduate and stay here in Chicago, and they make films.
Yeah.
Then you have filmmakers that live here in Chicago. They make films. And so people are making films all over the place. How do you find them?
Yeah.
Well, you go to the audition. That works for a handful of people. What I've learned over the years, I used to have a background in multi-level marketing, selling cars, selling real estate, and blah, blah, blah. And so I realized years ago I have to sell myself.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
so with the acting, I've discovered that you have to go to the networking events. You have to go to the parties. You have to do this. Like I tell Brad, I'm the volunteer coordinator at the Midwest Film Festival. They've been around since '05. But Brad, the way I found him is Brad had his film Walt Baby Walt at the festival, and Brad invited me to go. And this was back in 2000.
Yeah, 2 or 3.
It was a while back.
Yeah, been a minute ago. Yeah,
and I remember. Well, they started in '05, so it was a couple years after that.
Yeah,
but it was right around that time, and I went, and I was like, "This is cool. It's cool." But that was the Midwest Film Festival, and so years later, I went back to the festival because they were screening Chicago Overcoat, and a bunch of Chicago actors was in it, and I went to the screening over at the Landmark Theater. Then they had the after party, and I'm looking at these people, filmmakers around town gathered in one place.
Right.
And I said to myself, I call myself an actor and a filmmaker. I need to be here every
doubt.
month.
Right.
And so I started volunteering. So that was like almost, 11 years ago. I've been volunteering ever since. Then a year ago, they made me volunteer coordinator. So, and I'm shaking hands, meeting people, and been working with people from the festival on and on. So the film scene in Chicago is massive.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it is in other major cities. And then for the smaller cities, you have to get on Google and find these schools and these people, these film schools, and connect with these young people. Because Ted Saranto said years ago, do the student films because they grow up to be filmmakers, which I found is true. And there's the Actor and Film Meetup group. There's Chicago filmmakers. There's film this, film that, this, the Chicago Screenwriters Organization that I go in and host sometimes. There's so many things happening around and with all of the TV shows sitting here, filming here, a lot of things are happening. So it's vibrant.
Oh, no doubt. And you know what's tripped out? Like, just how things changed up. Like one of the screenplays I was working on a while ago called Chase. And the basic idea was I was playing the main character. Long story short, he gets an audition for Law and Order in New York, right? And so now we kind of put that on the back burner because I've been working on that for a minute. But the point being is that when I first wrote the screenplay, that was like maybe years before I think CineSpace Studio was a reality, right? Mm-hmm. And so now that was like way before Chicago PD, Chicago Med, Chicago whatever.
Empire.
Yeah.
Empire.
Yeah. And so like there's like a number of shows shooting here. Like, Chicago always has some films, but now there's like a number of shows shooting here. So now it's kind of like the screenplay, which is kind of cool. It's kind of outdated. It's kind of outdated. I mean, unless we did like as a retro piece, because now like there's so many things shooting here that there's not necessarily the need to, for that quote unquote big break, so to speak, necessarily. I mean, and that might have been the case anyway.
To run off somewhere else where you can make it making it here.
Yeah.
So let's do that then.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah. Make it happen, man. Great.
Yes. Yeah.
So having said that, we're talking about some of the challenges, like because we shoot a lot of indie stuff. Some of the fun times and challenges shooting stuff. One thing comes to mind, we shot a piece called Flying Man, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago now.
Yeah. And
it was for this film contest to shoot something on a mobile device for the African-American Hollywood something. And so I came up with this idea of like HD was playing like a guy who woke up and he's the only person on the planet, right? And for some reason, I'm like, yeah, let's shoot this shit outside. And it was cold as fuck. It was cold as hell that weekend.
It was a blizzard. It was really no one was outside. Yeah. So it worked perfect. It was crazy.
Right. And just looking at some of the challenges, because I remember what happened is that we were shooting on the cell phone.
And it was fun, though.
It was fun. Yep. Me, my good friend Nick Hart, my boy Nick Hart, played the Flying Man. And so what happened is that we were shooting some stuff. And then somehow the footage did not get uploaded because, when you shoot on a cell phone, you have to dump the footage because the cell phone, the memory starts getting filled up. And I uploaded it to Dropbox, right? And for some reason, it didn't record, it didn't upload. And so we had to go back out and reshoot some shit. And we'll have a link, I guess, somehow to Flying Man. But it had this classic shot where Harold's chasing Nick. And you go up the hill, there's no snow. You come down the hill, it's covered in snow because we shot it in separate days. Yeah, man. So things like that are things that I love about indie filmmaking. And I'm a big believer of, I think I said this before early on, don't wait for nobody, man. You can't wait. You just go out there and shoot. The basic idea that, for example, we shot some stuff we just shot some stuff a few minutes ago. Shot some stuff last weekend. And like I said, I'm an actor, writes and directs, but I'm not a DP by any stretch. I'm not like a sound person. I'm doing some basic DP work. So there may be things like, for example, the first episode we shot for Dazzling Cool Cat Jones, my friend Ying Manin, Rice Man, helped out with the shoot. So long story short, we were shooting stuff at the Factory Theater in the interior where I was doing a show a couple years ago. And then we went outside to get some shots. I didn't adjust for being outside, and so the shit was just crazy overexposed, right? And I didn't notice it until I started editing. And like, well, fuck it, we just gonna roll with it.
It is what
make it what it is. Yeah. So that's a great thing about, man, I love indie filmmaking. What are some stories you have about the filmmaking process that come to mind?
Oh, geez. Pieces of a Dream. That always runs out of my mouth right away because Pieces of a Dream was a film that I'm in as an actor, and they gave me the lead role, the title role. It was 4 short stories that all came together, so that was the lead actor or actress in one of the 4 shorts.
Right. And
I was the lead in the opening short, and I played a priest accused of child molestation.
Damn.
And so on set, I remember I'm in character. One girl asked me, "Did you do it?" I was like, "Yeah." And all of a sudden, people started not liking me.
Yeah.
But I bought my priest outfit on before I went down to Alton, Illinois, where we shot it, and I put it on and took the Greyhound bus down to St. Louis, where I got picked up by the executive producer. So I remember getting on the bus with the priest outfit on, the collar and everything, and one guy was like, "Hello, Father." I just nodded.
Yeah.
And then when I got off the bus down and the producer saw me, he could see me. I could see him from the bus while people were getting off out front, and he was looking at me. And so when I went over and greeted him, he shook my hand and says, "Father, shepherd flockings."
Yeah.
So I sold it,
Right.
And so I sold it, and that's one of the memories that stays with me. When I put on a costume, I fall in.
No doubt. That's what's up, man. Yeah. So, like, another thing that it's just like how, like I said, we've been at it for a minute. We still on our grind, baby, how things have changed up. And one thing that's big now is doing the self-tape. How do you like the whole process of self-taping your work?
Well, as you know, I don't have the equipment at the house, so I've self-taped over here with you, and I've been self-taping with my buddy Eddie Mahana because he has the whole setup. I mean, he makes it look like we're in a studio type of thing. And so he's been perfecting that. And Eddie's a good friend of mine from Kosovo, he's a filmmaker. As a matter of fact, right now, he's out in L.A. At a screening of A Gunman's Curse, a film that we're in, but he's the lead actor, so he had to go. And I have a bit part, so I was like, I'm not going all the way out to L.A. for that. I'm going to stay here and work.
Right.
But I like to go to film screenings. Don't get me wrong. Yeah. Because Ted Saranto was asked years ago, he says, "Harold, what's the best part of filmmaking, the filmmaking process that you like?" And I says, well, after it's all over, I can sit at the theater and enjoy watching myself on the screen.
Yeah.
He was surprised that was the answer.
Right.
That is the real answer. After it's all said and done, after we've done all of that shooting, filming, editing, pre-production, after everything's over, I just want to sit back and enjoy it.
No doubt. You know what, man? That's what I meant to say. The one thing that I'm really inspired by HD, Harold, inspired by you, dude, is your ability to network, like great networking. That's one thing I'm always working on. Not that I don't network, but for example, I just went, got my Sag-Aftra card. Finally was able to save up enough money to get my Sag-Aftra card, right? And so what I've been doing just this year, because I've been Sag-Aftra maybe like 2 or 3 years, is becoming more active in things going on here in Chicago, like different meetups going on, just to get your face out there, connect with people. It's not about brown nose, anything like that, but about networking with people.
It's about meeting people.
Networking. And
letting people meet you.
Right.
It's not who you know, it's who knows you.
True.
That's a book in the library I read.
Yeah. So it's the basic idea when I get to the point that when I go down to Sag-Aftra, they know your name. You know, and they're pretty good with knowing people, but they know your name just by seeing you, and you're not like a stranger. So the idea of networking, and like I said, we're looking at hopefully shooting something this summer, a piece called Western United. We'll talk about that maybe in an upcoming episode. And so one of the women who I'm interested in working with was somebody we met. Harold knows her. I'm blanking on her name already, but Harold knows her, and we were chit-chatting at the Sag-Aftra Academy Award party a couple weeks ago, right? And then I ran into her again at a meetup. They had like a meetup at the Sag-Aftra offices here in Chicago about flipping a non-union job to a union job. And we could talk about that later, maybe at a future episode. And then we kind of chit-chatted, so on and so forth, exchange information, and then see if she would be interested in being in this short film we're going to shoot this summer. And sent her out the script. She read it, said, yeah, she was down. And that's what it's all about, connect with people and networking and putting down some great work, man.
Yeah, you have to. I have a story about the SAG office.
Yeah.
I've been eligible probably for about 6 years. And so about 2.5 years ago, I says, I'm going to go ahead and do it. I had the money in the bank.
Yeah.
And I says, okay, now's the time. For all these years, when I first started, I was like, I want to be SAG. I want to be SAG. Not knowing what the heck I was talking about. Not knowing what the hell I was talking about.
Right.
And so anyway, it came. I says, whenever it's time, it'll let me know it's time, And so so I've been eligible for about 5-6 years. And so finally, 2 years ago, approximately 2.5 years ago, I went into the office and I sat down, filled out all of the paperwork,
right?
Gave them my debit card to take the money off my card, the full amount, and signed it and got my SAG number. And I was walking out of the office.
Yeah.
And then I says, oh, one more question, one more thing. I've got a couple independents that I want to finish, and I committed to them, and I want to finish them. I have 30 days, right?
Right.
And the lady looked up, and she was misinformed. She says, no, you can't do them. You have to stop now.
Right. Yeah.
I was like,
yeah, no doubt.
Put the brakes on.
Right.
I have to do this one film.
Right.
It was a series, pear-shaped, WBLS. You saw it, right? Me in the car.
Okay, yeah.
You shot it over center space.
Right. Oh, yeah.
I was like, I have to do this one piece because it was like a Castaway short. It was just me in the car and the camera.
It was a good piece.
And she was telling me I couldn't do it. So I was like, I think I'll just wait. And
no
then
doubt.
I ended up spending the money.
Right. Yeah.
So it'll happen when it happens. Yeah.
No, you know what, man? Like I said, we're going to, because that's one thing I want to do. Like, talk to somebody at Sag-Aftra and get them on the show. Our podcast, baby. The first pilot episode. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers. And talk about that more. Like I said, talk about that in the future. The whole idea about flipping the job. Because I had no idea. I mean, just recently, my agent hit me up to see about a job, if I would be interested in doing a job. They were going to give me the job outright. And then they said it was non-union. And I was like, I felt kind of shady about it. And said, well, no, I can't do it because it's non-union. And then, finding out that there are ways that you can flip a non-union job to a union job so you can get that work. The same thing like being a filmmaker, that you can work with union actors. And there's so many contracts that, I'm not fluent in terms of knowing the contracts, but I know there's so many different contracts out now that really opens up the door for, as an indie filmmaker, to work with a professional and work with that actor or actress that you want to work with that is not out the realm of possibility, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Life is good.
Life is good, man. Well, tell you what, man, I think that's about it for the first episode. We'll be back next week. Whenever we're back, stay tuned for more episodes for Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers, man. Until next time, for Brad Stevens.
And Harold Dennis.
We out of here. And as always, like we always say, dream big, dare to be great.
Dream big and bigger.
And bigger, baby. We out of here. Later. Peace.
Here's the sheriff. That's it.